Okay, now that our model has been laid out and labeled, we can now begin to do our outputs. And we basically want to output three different files, okay? Three different files. And I often like to have my file names all coordinated so that all the elements will work together, okay? And so I'm going to do a file, and I'm going to do a save as, because I want to give this a different name. And I'm going to create a new directory for this, and I'm going to call this video. And I'm going to call this first file the PDO file, which is my Pepakura file that I'm going to save. I'm going to call it video underscore toroid. Okay, and I'm going to save that as my PDO file. And that's my Pepakura file, so I can always come back, re-edit, change, and do things that I want to do to my model here. Okay, and now I want to do a series of outputs. The first file that I'm going to output, I'm going to export a vector format, in vector format, an encapsulated PostScript file. Vector file, export vector format encapsulated PostScript. And the whole purpose of that file is to capture the number information. So that's the only reason why I do that, is so that I can capture my number information. I'm going to save that. I don't want to fill my flaps. I don't want to fill any faces. I just want to do a straight file like so. Okay. And now I want to do a file export vector format, and I'm going to do a DXF file. I'm going to do a DXF file. Okay, and I'm going to keep the same name so that all of the files correspond to one another. And I'm going to save that file. Okay, and that outputs the DXF file. So I've outputted the three file formats that I need for my work, and now I'm ready to move to Illustrator, where I'm going to bring those two files together into a single file format that will have my text information, my mountain, my valley, and my cut lines. And that ends our work within Pepakura. Okay, now I'm in Adobe Illustrator, and I'm going to just use Adobe Illustrator to bring together my encapsulated PostScript file and my DXF file. So I have all of those in a single DXF file that I'll be able to use in Rhino. So we're now in Illustrator, and there's certain things that we have to do. So let's do a file open, and I want to go to my directory where I have my files, and I'm going to note that I have a PDO file, an encapsulated PostScript file, and a DXF file. I'm going to open up the encapsulated PostScript file, and it opens that up like so. And it looks like that. Resist the temptation to zoom in and zoom out to look at this, and you'll be able to see the effects of this approach if you don't. Okay? And now I want to open up my DXF file. Okay? And here's the DXF file. Now, here is where you have to pay attention. Okay, you want to use original size. Okay, you don't want to scale it to fit the outboard. You don't want to do any scales. You want to change your units to millimeters, because that's how the file was built. And you want to make sure that the scale equals 1 unit in millimeters, and you want to use the model layout and center artwork, because that's how it was. So original size, scale 1:1 millimeters, layout model, center artwork. Okay, and when you do that, you're going to get something that looks like that, and that's the DXF file. Now you note that let me open up our layers palette. I'm going to strip this off. Okay, you notice that in the DXF file you have valley, mountain line, cut line, which are your elements. If I go to the EPS file, you'll notice that I just have everything on a single layer, which is not what you want. And here we go. We sort of toggle in between those, and we notice that there is a one-to-one correspondence between the two. So let's get over to the EPS file. And what we want to do, we want to come over here to that layer. We're going to change the name of that layer to text. Okay, and you can make it caps if you want to. Okay, that becomes our text layer. We're going to change that name of that layer to text, and we want to come over here and make sure that paste remembers layers is important. Okay, so now what we want to do is that we want to separate our text from the rest of our files. The way that we do that is that we get our direct selection tool, which is A on your keyboard, and you get into that selection mode, and you click on one of your text objects like so that it selects one of your text objects. Okay, and then once you've done that, you want to come up to Select, Same, Fill and Stroke. And what that'll do is that selects all of your text elements all through your scene. It selects all of the text elements, okay? And then what you want to do, once that's selected, you want to do an edit, copy, okay, to copy that. Then you want to come to your DXF file, and then you want to do an edit, paste in place. And that places all that text information exactly where it belongs in the DXF file, and it also creates a text layer so that all the text information is on a single layer. Okay, and so now I have my text, my valley lines, my mountain lines, and my cut lines all on the same layer. Okay, and with that done, that's all the work that you have to do in Illustrator. And now we're rounding the corner, and in the final step, let's do a file, export. And we want to export this as a DXF file. And I always take the file name, whatever it is, and I add for Rhino to it. Okay, because now I'm going to move into Rhino to do the final work on this. And I export the file. And when I do, once again, I want to change that to millimeters, and I want to make sure that there's a one-to-one scale in millimeters, and I'm going to click on OK. And now I've completed the work that I need to do in Illustrator, and now the final formatting for our work is done within Rhino. And so that completes this section of the tutorial.